this is really a hands-on session about Triggi and how we can actually connect with the new platform and how it's going to help us in our quest to create the Internet of Things. There's a few things. There's an event coming up. Urian asked me to mention about the robots to the rescue event. I can't remember what the URL is. I was trying to look for it, but I can find it. But it's
I put it in the mail, and it's on the Maurice put it on our new website.
Yeah, we're busy with getting a few assets together at the moment. So we're creating a website so that we can put a lot of the historic stuff of Sensemakers on there, because at the moment we have the Slack, which is awesome for doing project communication. We have the Meetup, which is great for organising these events. But we lack a little bit. You can't look and see what we did over the last 5 years, and so we're trying to consolidate that into a website, which has been quite a task, trying to get back a URL which was owned by somebody in America that we could get hold of, and trying to get back the Sensemakers AMS Twitter address, which nobody can remember who owns, so nobody can put the reset password on. So we're in the middle of doing a little bit of getting some assets together. We also took over, there was an IoT NL meetup group, which was in Amsterdam, and it was focusing on more the business side of Internet of Things. And they lost interest about a year ago, and somebody took it over called Chad, and he didn't arrange a meetup, so I asked him if he would transfer the ownership over, so he's done that. So the next couple of meetups we'll co-announce them on IoTNL and on Sensemakers, and then we'll ask those members to come and join our meetup group, and then probably close that meetup group down, because I think 50% of the members overlapped anyway, because I went there, and Maurice went there, I bumped into all sorts of people, but it's, but there was a segment that weren't coming to Sensemakers, so let's see if we can do some communication around that. Beyond that, I think we've got this space until what time? Till 8 or 9 o'clock. I think it's booked officially. Is there a closing time of the building if we overrun?
No, I think it's just the only rule is that picobello, just as you found it. I have to leave in about 15 minutes, but then take care on the way out, because once you get out, you can't get back in. So
that's right. Yeah. So if people walk out those double doors, unless there's somebody inside, you can't get back in again. So if you nip out for a cigarette or something, then you have to go in pairs. Or maybe in threes. One outside, one in the space.
or at least have somebody you can call.
And one that's far too simple. No, I think in threes. I think
Should be a
it's the best
sensor
thing.
at the door.
Well, I think the whole point is that there is a sensor at the door. But anyway, I think I should waste any more time. You should
Yeah,
start.
sure. Yeah, of course.
Thank you very
Right.
much.
Thanks a lot, everybody. So thanks for having me. Thanks for inviting me here at Sensemakers. It's my first meetup with Sensemakers and with the IoT community in Amsterdam. So it's all pretty new to me. My name is Frank Meersen in Dutch. I am the community architect of Triggi, and we are a mobile application that connects smart devices, services and apps to each other according to your own rules, so you can make them work smarter together. So I've got a couple of slides. I'm going to try to talk you through what problem we're trying to solve, what Triggi is, how it works. I'm going to give you a quick demo, and then have a few announcements which might be of interest to you at the end. That should take about 20 minutes, and after that we can play around with Triggi if you want to, or if you have any questions. Now we have some stroopwafels, sour waffles. So please take them if you want. We have to get rid of them. So we ordered too much at a conference in spring, and we had too many stroopwafels already for lunch. So please take them. So if you don't mind, we're going to sit down so you can see the screen a bit better. Yeah, so that's it. So with Triggi, we're pretty young. We're based in Amsterdam. We're based at the Van der Madenweg, somewhere ook de Belmer, die Duivendrecht. Where we started last year in November, so we're almost a year old. Arjen Norberg over there, taking a CEO slice of pizza. He started the company together with Tom Meijeram, and right now we are with 13 people working here in Amsterdam on Triggi. So what do we do? So here's the thing. I think I don't have to tell you that after the internet we saw the last 20 years, we now have the Internet of Things coming. We have billions of devices coming online right now, but also in the coming years. And if you look at all the consultants, the agencies and all the trend reports, everything goes to the upper right. If you look at the amount of devices that people think will come online within the next few years, even within the next 3 to 4 years actually. So be it connected thermostats, wearables, charging stations, whatever, everything will have an IP address and will be available online. So that's cool, it's great to see that coming, and it's very interesting to see what that might bring us. The thing is, the problem we saw is that you got these two things. You got on one side you got the consumer, you got your regular user who's got a mobile phone and he buys a smart thermostat, he buys Philips Hue lights, he buys a Sonos and what have you. And before you know it, you got 20 apps on your phone and you have no idea. If you just want to go outside and turn stuff off, you gotta go through multiple apps and turn it off and do all sorts of jump through hoops to get things working. The other thing is that not all these devices work together. You got different protocols. You got HomeKit. You got things like SmartThings from Samsung. You got Google with their Umbrella project. You got all these sorts of different platforms. You see, and they just don't work together. On the other hand, you got the hardware manufacturer, the device manufacturer, who's got all sorts of ideas on what the product should do or could do, but you'll always get these little questions. Arjen once told me that when they worked on the tone thermostat, they got questions like, so it would be cool if I could tweet something like, all right, I'm driving home from work, #almost home, and my tone could see that, and with the hashtag, so it can turn on and do something or get into a different scenario. You got all these different, small scenarios that you want to build into your product, but you just can't because of resources, because of time, budget, support needed, stuff like that. So, not all devices or not all the equipment that you see is can do everything, and a lot of users, they always want more. They want their stuff to do everything. So that's where we come in. We try to connect these two. We try to connect these different devices. We don't do that by protocols. We use APIs for that. So we connect different APIs from apps, services, and devices. And you can make your own rules. You can make your own conditions, and you can make your own actions, and create sort of your own sphere on how these devices should work together. And I'll show you in a minute how that works. So if you're around for a while on the internet and working with different web services and different apps, this might sound familiar to you. You might have heard of a small company in San Francisco, 5 letters, I won't mention them, but it's got 3 T's and an I and an F. They've been doing some groundbreaking work the last 7 or 8 years, getting people to know, you can do this stuff. You can connect different web services. You can make it happen that when you take a picture on Instagram, you publish a picture on Instagram, you can put it on, you can connect it to Dropbox or Evernote or whatever you want. But the thing we saw when, what Arjen and Tom saw, that there are a couple of things with these competitors or with these others in the field that we want to do better, and we will do better, and that's relevance, power, and ease of use. So the relevance is, if you go to different other services right now, you'll see hundreds of channels or different services you can connect to. and you have no idea what the saying is in English, but you could go to boven het bos machine. You can see the trees through the forest through the trees. Is that English? I'm not quite
Yeah,
sure.
you can't see the wood for the tree.
You can't see the wood through the tree. All right, thank you. Learning something again. So we want to be relevant in different countries. If you are based in the US, you will only see US products. You won't see things like Tone, which is really huge in the Netherlands, but you know, Nest is bigger in the US. And when you're in the Netherlands, you won't see things like, well, Amazon Echo, for instance, which is not available, not yet available in the Netherlands. But we could connect to it. So we want to be relevant for our users. The other thing is power. With other services, you can, so things like if this and that, you can say, okay, if something happens, then do that. Or what I will show you in a minute is that you can make multiple conditions, you can make multiple actions, so you can be more precise and you can be more powerful with that. And the other thing is ease of use. What we've learned for ourselves, but also talking to our customers and talking to the market, is that even other seemingly simple services are too hard for people to use. They just don't know what to do. They don't know what to pick and how to do it. So with our user interface, with the way we think about how people should use the app and what things we should offer them, we want to make it as easy as possible for a larger growing group of people to use things like Triggi to connect their own homes. So, let me see. So I'm going to show you the app. So just a couple of examples of we call them tricks, Triggs, that you can make. You know, you can start really simple. When I'm not at home, turn off a smart plug in the living room. That's pretty easy. It's pretty straightforward. You can you can grow on it. You can also say, you know, when it's Monday. And when I'm near the supermarket, we also support geofencing, we support location. You can make location. So let's say you're near the supermarket, automatically you will send a direct message to your partner. Do you need any groceries? It can be a direct message, it can be a notification, it can be email, it can be anything. But you can go even further. You can say we also support all the charging stations for your electric vehicle in the Netherlands. So you can search for the different charging stations. We don't support APIs from electric cars yet. If I look at our roadmap, it's pretty high on our list. So this is still something we will support, but this is what could be possible. So if a EV charger station at the end of the street or anywhere becomes available, and my car needs energy, needs some energy, it's got like 5% left, and it is between 6 p.m. and 11 p.m. and I'm at home, so all those conditions have to be true, then send me a notification. It's time to charge. And blink the lights in the hallway green that it's time to charge, and send a tweet. I don't know why, but just to tweet, I'm charging my car. So you can be more specific in the rules you make. You can make it as broad as possible. I'm not at home, or all these different conditions have to be true, and then something should happen. So you can make it as big or as small as you want. So how does it work? Let me just get that up. So now I'm gonna try this one. Let's try it like this. I have no idea. The time. It worked a couple of minutes ago. Thank God.
Yeah, it's very busy, I think, because mine is slow as well.
Yeah, but it doesn't use this. This is pretty interesting. It doesn't use any Wi-Fi. It's just QuickTime where you can. So right now, it's like go away, Patrick. Let me get this thing out of the way. No, it doesn't. So might go away in a minute. Yeah, there it is. So this is my phone right now. So this is Triggi. I'm already logged in. Let me get this iTunes thing out of the way. Is this okay for you to see? It's alright. Okay. So this is what you see. I've got it in Dutch. Let me just put it in English, because that's something we support right now as well. So it's both. This is iOS. It's also an Android. We support both iOS and Android. By default it's in English, but you can change it into Dutch if you want. So I'm already logged in. So what you see right here is the main screen, and I've already made a trick. I'm a big Spotify fan, but we don't support Spotify yet. But I love the Discover Weekly playlist. Every Monday they give me a sort of curated playlist based on their AI, and so every Monday when I arrive at work, I'll get a push message that the new Discover Weekly is there, so I can just plug it in, and when I start working, I can listen to some new music. So that's a trick I made. So we've got different channels. So the channels are the different services and apps and devices we support. So you see Nest, charging stations, things like weather, location, Twitter, email, Philips Hue, push messages, and things like time and day and date. And this is something we will, I already spoiled the surprise already. So we also support the tone thermostat, we will support the Atmo, and a maker channel, which I will talk about in a minute. So how does this work? So you can create a new trick. So I can say, so it's always based on this when and then. So when something happens, then do something else. So I press on add condition. So let's say when let's say after let's say 30 minutes after sunset. Yep, the one, and it should be on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and the location. When I'm at the location at work, then, well, do something with the lights, turn on different hue lights. I just can choose on and off. And these are the hue lights that are already connected to my Triggi account. You see we have some interesting names. And I want the Nest to go to 18 and a half, and I don't know, here I am. Sunday. This is something because this is sort of a beta version. It shows a lot of phones, but doesn't matter. So this is the way it works. This is the way you make a trick. And then I'm done. I can name it. Let's name it this one, Sensemakers. I can give it a sort of a color, activate it, and that's it. And that's the way you make a trick. So whenever it's 30 minutes after sunset on a weekday, and what else did I do? Something else. I said, oh, when I'm at work, then the lights will go on. So probably right now, I don't know if someone's at the office, but you might get scared the shit out of him because the lights are suddenly turning on or flickering or whatever. So that's the way Triggi works. We also have this inspiration tab where you can see all different sorts of tricks we already made that you can use. So I already showed you the channels. Well, we've got a few things coming up. We are working on the time zones right now. If you download it right now, we only support the time zone in Amsterdam. Well, basically everything from Sweden to South Africa. But in the coming release, we will support international time zones. You can change your passwords, stuff like that. So that's what Triggi is. That's what it does.
I just made a trigger. If I leave this location, then email me. Or if I'm not at this location, email me.
Yeah.
Now I'll be leaving for tonight.
Yeah.
Then it will continue emailing me? Or?
No, it will just send you an email once because you left the location once, and then it will email you once, and that's it. But the next time you walk into the location and you walk out again, it will email you again.
Okay.
So it continuously pulls the state of where you are. But that's good to know that it uses the location of your phone, which is pretty obvious, but we get a lot of user questions on that because a lot of this stuff also works whenever you're not at home. But for things like location, it needs the location of your phone. So, so that's good to know. All right. So, what does it do for me? I'm way over time, as I see, but sorry about that. So we've got, it's like I said, Triggi can be used for a lot of people. It's like a bookkeeper, we know, Guido, 47 years old, he's totally not a programmer, and he saw this and he said, it would be so great to sort of combine all these products and services I use for myself and sort of organize my digital life for myself and make it the way I want it to. But we also have people like Volkert, who's a forum moderator, and he's the one who got this question on, it would be cool if someone said a tweet, #almosthome, and my thermostat should heat up. So if you look at what's known as the long tail, that's something we support. You've got a lot of these devices who support the orange hat, the big popular features that a lot of people use. But it's the long tail, a lot of people use just a few people's a lot of features that a few people use. That should be interesting if you can open that up as well, and you wouldn't have to build it into your own product. You can just connect to Triggi through your API, and with it, as you see, people can start making their own tricks. So you can also look at the makers who say, can I make my own hardware with Arduinos or Pis and connect it with Triggi, or let other conditions from Triggi run my hardware. Well, that's something that's coming up. You just saw it on the app. We are building a maker channel, and it should be out in the coming weeks. We're working on it right now. You can send and receive your own HTTP requests. You'll get support for get and posts, and you can. And it should be possible to send information into the headers of these requests. We are working on it right now. I was planning on maybe showing something to your board. Unfortunately, it's not able to do that right now. But another thing that might be of interest to you is the Triggi Discovery Day on November 26th here in Amsterdam. We're still looking for a location. We are talking to the A-Lab actually, together with what's it called? No, is it Amsterdam? No, it's
Amsterdam.
Yeah, no, with Martinez.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Amsterdam. Yeah, it's Amsterdam. Yeah, of course. With Amsterdam, we're going to have a day, morning or an afternoon, not quite sure yet. You can play with Triggi, you can try out the Maker channel, you can meet the team, we'll have drinks, we'll have snacks, we'll have stroopwafels probably. You have to get rid of those good stuff. So you can sign up at the meetup page at the bit.ly/Triggi Day, or go to our Facebook group and sign up at the event page over there. If you want to be there, it's definitely going to be on the 26th of November. Location, it's going to be in Amsterdam, but it's to be announced. We'll have that for sure in the coming weeks.
And I know that people bring their Arduino stuff.
Yeah, we're still kind of sort of organizing that, so this is more like a save the date. We might have some.
Hinting you.
Yeah, sure. You can bring your own stuff. We might have some stuff ourselves. All ideas are welcome. Yeah. So that's about Triggi. Right now, if you want, you can download Triggi, of course, at the App Store, or go to triggi.com/app and select the App Store of your choice. You can make an account, connect some channels, play around. We didn't bring any hardware because of the whole logistics of connecting UE bridges and tones and stuff like that. But maybe you can play around with the Twitter channel. I understand you all are working on some project with sensors. So that might be interesting to play around with if you want. If you make some cool tricks, you can win this beautiful Triggi mug. I've got a few, I've got 5 or something like that. You can win the I Love Geofencing mug. There's not a sensor in it. There was some confusing. No. It might be an idea for next time.
I thought it would have sensor.
Yeah.
Cupcakes that empty. Might
Oh, there you go.
And it's called
Oh, you
Infection
know,
Coffee.
stick the sensor in and then go ahead, you know, build it yourself, build it yourself.
It's really easy in the office.
So we do go on some stuff. So if you want to know more, check us out on Triggi.com or I am Triggi on both or on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. That's it. That's my talk. Thank you. Any questions?
Yes. So if you're in a public space and you want to dim the lights, and I do it with my Triggi, and someone else also has Triggi and wants to have a more brighter space.
Yeah.
So there's a kind of different choreographies.
Not even in public space.
Yeah. Or even at home, yeah, because at the
We
point you
have
have
sort of a political,
Challenge.
maybe it's a democracy. For
Well, it's quite interesting because I had a talk today with one of our users, and we had this scenario coming up, not at a public space, because you have to connect to the in this case the U bridge, the Philips U bridge of the light. So and most of the time in public spaces you can't connect to that because you need a username and password and stuff like that. But at home you have the same problem with your partner. If he or she also uses Triggi, and you have sort of these conflicting tricks, how do you deal with that?
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, we don't have a definitive answer for that yet because it hasn't occurred, and but it is something that's coming up pretty rapidly because we see the number of users is growing right now, and it's these right now there's not this sort of process or something that you can make one trick more important than the other. They just get executed at that time. So if your trick is executed at 7:30 and the other trick is at 7:31, it's just a minute later and that's it. But if they're both at 7:30, they'll both get executed at the same time. And we've seen at our office that it's based on the feedback we'll get from the API on who goes first. So it's based on what we get back, in this case from the Philips Hue API, if it first turns on or turns red, for instance. So but we don't have a procedure for that yet, but it's an interesting use case, which we'll have to think about that.
You're actually going to solve this with your maker channel, because with your maker channel, I'd be able to make a trick that says, when I come home, also go to the maker channel, which I've set up to have a little thing that I'm at home, and then my wife, she comes home, then hers one can go to the maker channel, then my phone can say, if I leave home and go to my maker channel, my wife is also not home, then switch the lights on. So the maker channel.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah,
would like to do.
if
Yeah.
you're both home and you have, because you're better at scripting, you put a message out.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's all good based on skills.
I'm doing something at home.
Probably you have now just the light switch as well, right? If you come into a light switch, and they say, I want the lights off, you have a fire sign.
And I control the remote control.
There you go.
And then it's going to be one of the kids who just flips the switch.
Oh, you whether you might want to get involved in a discussion as well. Just let it happen.
Yeah, we'll
Let the users sort themselves out.
Yeah, they will. So yeah, it's pretty interesting.
But really, the connection to an external service, if you want to build it, you can make even more complicated tricks yourself then, with multiple people and with things.
That's what we hope will happen with the Maker channel. More of these complicated and complex tricks will be possible. So
Is it possible to add multiple Twitter accounts?
Not yet. No, it's possible to just add one Twitter account.
Okay, so
Yep.
that's choose wisely.
If you have multiple, you should. But that's interesting because you would like to use multiple Twitter accounts.
I have a bot account.
Oh, okay.
Let's say I want to make it reply to some stupid stuff.
Yep.
But with a normal account, you don't know what to do with it.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll start twittering rubbish.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, should be interesting. Yeah. Okay. But we don't have it yet, sir. So you could make multiple Triggi accounts on your phone, on one phone. So that's possible for now.
Yeah, I was referring to the 3 laws, of course. freedom also.
Oh, for robotics, yeah. I'm not, I know them, but I don't know them by heart. So.
Me neither.
Yeah, but in the end, the robots will always win. Right?
Yeah. So daddy is always right.
That is not right.
If daddy is not home, mama is always right. If mama's not home, then send me a text message. Because of
So someone, yeah.
You guys support NFC and Bluetooth and that sort of thing as well?
I'm looking at Arjen. The NFC is something we will support it. Yeah, it's on a roadmap.
But no idea when.
No, not yet. No, not yet. But it's something we've one of our earlier programmer. He left us unfortunately. But he left us with some nice code to use NFC QR codes actually within Triggi. But it's still a bit hacking around. But it's something we would definitely be looking at. Yeah.
Bluetooth as well, or just?
I'm not quite sure Bluetooth if we.
So say I come home and my phone connects to the Bluetooth speakers or whatever.
Oh, okay.
It's like right now I can, my phone unlocks if I'm at home with
Yeah.
a certain distance of my Bluetooth speaker.
So you use Android or the
Android, yeah.
Android, yeah.
But they can do that with Apple as well.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure if it's on our.
We're looking at a number of phone features as well to
Yeah.
make them work on 3S inputs or even or outputs even.
Well, I mean, not so much as a phone feature, but as an extra sensor that I can use to
Oh, exactly, yeah.
trigger
Yeah,
action.
definitely.
So I come home and my phone sees that it's home because it's connected to the.
Yeah, well, we're gonna support that not by Bluetooth but by Wi-Fi for Android.
Mm.
So that's an Android only feature that if you connect to a specific SSID, that's going to be in an upcoming release. Then so that's going to be a condition for.
That you can trigger a bunch of.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Jonathan has delivered a box of 4 iBeacons.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Unfortunately, it's still on my desk.
Oh.
But it's definitely, looking at me
Yeah.
every day, like, get on with it. But that definitely would also be a very interesting one indeed. On NFC, what this is actually quite easily possible with the Maker channel will be soon be launching. If you buy those NFC kind of stickers, you can program an HTTP URL in it. If you hold your phone will actually call that HTTP URL, which can of course be a Triggi Maker,
Right.
a Triggi Maker channel URL. So if you then
So it will support MC directly, but.
well,
Yeah.
so there is a little bit of a workaround, and so it does not yet address maybe what large groups of people can do, but actually there's quite cool things could be possible. If you put your phone there, it will call out an HTTP channel, and you can trigger things based on that very fact.
And with Eddystone beacons, as opposed to iBeacons, Eddystones carry a URL, so you can do the same thing. So with Android, you could already do it straight away with Bluetooth.
Unfortunately, Apple doesn't allow us access to
No, I just see it's true. Can I also?
So yeah.
I gotta go. Where is it running? Is it running on a server of you, the Triggies, or is it on your phone?
Both. We have
Both,
a bit is running on your phone. For instance, for geolocation, this is a bit that runs on your phone, and the operating system will tell us, like, when you've entered or.
But then it's a
Actually,
sensor.
Then it's
Yeah.
so therefore it's a sensor. We'll get a notification, and the rest of the stuff runs in the cloud. On
Okay.
a server we host with Amazon.
Okay, so when your phone is empty.
Tricks will continue for us. We had an issue actually this morning where
Yeah.
people had issues logging into Triggi. Our login facilities failed, but the tricks were being executed.
Okay. Will there also be overrulings like geofencing? My phone is out of order. Is there going to be any conditional solutions for that in the future?
Well, actually, what we have noticed is that if you come home with an empty phone, or you enter a geofence with an empty phone, we don't know, of course. So you're
No.
in the geofence with the wrong status. So we have said that through our app we request an update of the status every now and then. So if your phone is switched on again, at least we can process the status
Okay.
correctly, so we know the correct status. But there are some, and in all honesty, we haven't fully gotten our head around how to deal with these kind of cases. Because what will happen if you charge your phone, it's done, and all of a sudden, stuff starts to happen. Because that was a result of the trick that you had programmed. And if after 3 days you charge your phone again and stuff starts to happen, you may not make the connection that it was actually caused by the fact that you entered the geofence 3 days ago.
Yeah, okay.
So these are kind of situations that we have been puzzling with, like, okay, how should we solve it? Should we not do anything? Should we leave the trick? Should we just update the status and don't execute on it anymore? And what should then be the we don't know.
Okay.
And so we've said we'll wait for stuff to happen and we'll see what our audience has to say about it, and then take it from there. What other measures we should take for these may not even be edge cases. I mean, we don't have the answer to that.
Okay.
Well, we even saw already, we see people with dozens of tricks enabled.
At one person with thousands of tricks enabled.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, it doesn't. No, thousands. No, I think I think someone with the most tricks right now, and not one of our own people, is somewhere around 80 tricks. But what he did, because we had a chat with him, so what the hell did you do? Is that he made during his summer holiday, he made tricks for the U lights in the different bedrooms and the living room to turn on and turn off at a sort of random order when they were away. But he had to do that for every room and for every light and for every moment with a different trick. So he had quite an evening making that. But that's another thing, we how do you organize these tricks? Do you just make folders, or do you sort of arrange them yourself? And these are all sort of these new use cases coming up for us as well, because we have our ideas, but we're 13 guys at the 5th floor somewhere in Duivendrecht. We don't have the truth. So we talk to a lot of users, sort of find out on what's the best way to deal with this new stuff that's happening around us.
Last week we've seen all of a sudden one account carry out 12,000 actions in less than half an hour. So we didn't think much of it. And somebody said, what is this strange peak in our usage graphs? So this is actually quite scary. What, is it a bug in our system or so? And then we figure that we should talk to the person, because all of a sudden it disappeared again. We figured that he may have connected his Nest account both to if this and that and to us. And he would have a rule with us that said if it's above 20, set it down to 20, and have just continue to work against each other. So you get conflicting tricks, which and you may cause a loop, which we've said we don't know whether we should allow that or disallow that. Is that viable? I mean, we didn't care too much. The only worry you have is not being kicked off the Nest platform. So these are also things like what happens if you make a loop. Using tricks and stuff starts to oscillate in your home. Should we say,
We've got a new infinite fax machine, but then with connected devices.
Yeah, so should we maybe put a break on it that we say, the same trick cannot be executed more than 10 times in a row within 10 seconds or so. And otherwise there clearly must be something wrong and we should protect the user against himself by by disabling the
You
trigger.
can also put an emergency stop in it because you do not know what is the off state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Big
this is-
red button. Yeah.
So actually, it's not again, you know, if you have a husband and a wife who fight each other, I mean, if they make conflicting rules and then see you, you know.
Won't sleep tonight.
So these are the kind of situations that, I mean, we could put in an arbitrary rate limit, but yeah, I mean, we may then disallow, you know, very valid use cases that we don't know of yet. So, you know, we'll see what happens, and if anybody has a complaint, we'll look at it seriously and see what we can do about it to help our users.
And can you also create a backup or in the future? Or how is it good? Because maybe the data center goes offline. What happens with my?
That's a good question. Haven't thought about. I mean, we back up our stuff ourselves, but if Amazon goes offline, yeah, then the world has other.
Yeah, but perhaps maybe backup of this, you know, for your own sort of, if you want to sort of transfer to another account.
To another phone, maybe, because it's
Yeah.
phone bound.
Yeah, might be interesting.
If you sell your house, you sell it with all the tricks.
Very good.
With the
It's
account.
interesting. I just sold my house. There's something to think about. Yeah.
They don't want that tricks.
Okay.
Well, continue on his question. So say I have a bunch of tricks on my U-lights, and are my U-lights talking to my phone to the service?
Service to us, yeah, to the servers.
So how does that communication happen? Is that encrypted?
The API Philips requires us to encrypt, but it goes to.
Well, I mean, is okay, so Philips requires it, but if someone were to require it, would it still be encrypted or?
We are interfacing to the APIs of other
Yeah.
third parties. So in this particular case, Philips, we're interfacing to Nest, we're interfacing to Tone, we're interfacing to a number of others,
Yeah.
and so far they've all required, first of all, encryption, and secondly, authentication, because they want to make sure that you allow us to control the device.
Right.
So most APIs, if not all, will use OAuth 2, which means that if you're familiar with this technology, but basically what it means is that if I want to connect Nest as a thermostat, then what happens is that we have to divert you to a page which is hosted by Nest, type in the details of your Nest account, and then Nest will give us a token that will allow us to control your Nest and your
Right, so you're not receiving usernames and passwords for
No.
all these
No.
APIs,
No.
you're receiving tokens.
We're receiving
Right.
tokens, which has for the API party a number of advantages. You can withdraw the token. So if we screw around with your device, you could say, I've had it with Triggi, I'm withdrawing the token. And Nest could say, look, you know, these Triggi guys are making a mess about, you know, mess of our platform or our product, you know, we withdraw all tokens that have been given to Triggi and, you know, have a nice day. So, in the end, it's also, of course, the responsibility of the device manufacturers, you know, who provide the APIs, to worry about what also are their customers. So, and we have to behave.
So they have to make deals with the manufacturers basically for this and need to.
Well, I mean, I think anyone of you could go to Nest and say, can I register myself as a developer? And then you would be given a developer account, very likely. You would be receiving documentation on how stuff works, and you could interface with it as well. And then as a developer, I'm not sure what conditions you have to fulfill, but there's not that many. But then you can communicate with up to 50 Nest devices.
And you can use all the features? Or is there like a graduation in what you can do depending on our experience or
No,
contacts?
no. so then you can do whatever you want, and then Nest says if you want to go beyond the 50, you have to present your application or your app, and we'll approve of it first, and then if you comply with all our conditions that we set for you using the API, then we will allow you to go beyond the 50 barrier. So for instance, they want us to agree that we don't break the platform, that we behave, on their facilities, that we don't screw around their customers, etc. So they want to control everything. And there's some things that they don't allow us to do. For instance, and that depends actually on. So Nest has a 50 pages of terms and conditions towards us. Philips for you has just one, actually one line that says behave, and if you don't behave, we kick you out. That's basically these are the terms and conditions. So they have a much more relaxed approach compared to, let's say, American companies.
So all the data stored in your these Amazon servers in Europe or in the States?
In Europe.
So in Ireland.
Frankfurt.
So you guys follow European privacy guidelines.
We're a Dutch company.
Right. Okay.
What do you see as your business model?
That's a good question. We have a few clues. But, we haven't made any cent yet in terms of revenue. So, what seems to become more prominent now is that channel parties, such as the likes of Philips and others, will say, okay, if you do a decent job, if you really provide what you promise, and you keep a good connection with our facilities, we're willing to pay you. Because this adds value to the products, and it can allow our products to be much more used in many more cases. So for instance, I don't know, I stepped out, I'm not sure if you mentioned it, but one of the things on our roadmap is a connection with a sports data company, the sports data feed. So what we thought would be cool is that, if we get real-time events on whether, a team scores a goal, that also is something that could be used in a trick. So if PSV Eindhoven scores a goal, the lights would flip, blink red and white. So Philips says, this is a really cool thing, but we will never ever put that in our development roadmap. So if you facilitate these kind of things, we'll market it, great, and we'll pay you to make that. Because in fact, I'm not sure yet where our business model is, but I do see that the providers of weather information, providers of